Alright guys, this is going to be a video on how to locate air intrusion if you own a 6.9, but more specifically a 7.3 IDI indirect injected diesel motor. Some of my previous videos, I was mainly troubleshooting and kind of posting updates as I was going along, but where I'd have a lot of good information on one video, but I left out a couple points, and I wanted to kind of put it all in one place. So, basically, how the fuel system on these works is you have a mechanical sending unit in the tank, in each tank, and from the factory that carries it to a fuel selector valve. And I deleted mine, but anyway, the selector valve has a feed line that runs from the back and carries it up to the mechanical pump on the passenger side of the block, which then goes up to the filter housing. That's this thing. And the filter housing goes back and feeds the fuel to the injection pump, which is this big thing right here. It's the heart of the motor. The injection pump carries the fuel to the injectors, and the excess fuel that is not burned off gets carried back through these little rubber return lines. They have the clamps on them, and it gets carried back into the tank. And pretty much your return and your feed system have to be sealed airtight, because if they suck in air, you can have motor irregularities such as bogging down, white smoke, shutting off completely, and even power surging, like almost feels like a boost surge or something when you're driving. So I've completely upgraded mine, and you can go to some of my previous updates. I should say I've completely upgraded my fuel system, and you can go to some of my video updates to check that out. But I'm just going to be covering some of the common points of failure. To start off, one of the best things you can do, and I mentioned this before, is install this 1/4-inch clear line into your return system. This will help you determine where the air is coming from. You'd follow if you're getting air bubbles through the line, you'd follow them back until eventually you eliminated the point of entry. I installed clear line coming. This is my crossover line back here. It's black, but it goes into this brass tee. And then I got a clear line going here, so I'm getting air bubbles coming from the crossover side. I'm going to see it here. And then most of the time on your factory setup, you'll have the fuel return going from here down to your number 1 injector there. But I went ahead and plugged that because I was having a different issue with my electric pump. I think my check valve failed, but the most common points of failure is the return lines. If that O-ring, there's an O-ring, a couple O-rings under this cap here, they crack or break or get nicked, it won't seal, and it can suck in air on the return side. When you, I've actually seen it when you shut the motor off on the clear lines, and I had an O-ring that was bad. I could actually visually see the air just clear those lines of fuel. Then another common point of failure is the fuel heater plug has an O-ring on top of the filter housing if you have a 7.3 IDI. I went ahead and plugged that. You can replace the O-rings, but they don't always seal up real well. I went ahead and just tapped it and plugged it. Then, if you still have the factory set up, you'll have your hard line coming up to here, and that'll bolt into there, and then you'll have another hard line going from here back to the injection pump. Well, those have little rubber seals in them that deteriorate and can create an internal air leak as well. So I went ahead and I just deleted the hard lines entirely and ran some JSE to push lock fittings. If your truck is only having issues when you're at like a quarter tank or half a tank, but basically when you're not at a full tank, it might be the pickup tube inside of the tank. Basically what happens is there's a shower head type deal that breaks off, and it can create an internal air leak when fuel's below a certain level, and sucking air that way, basically acting like it's starving for fuel. Trying to think what else. Typically, if the injection pump itself is bad, it'll shut off hot. Sometimes it can have white smoke if the injection pump is going, but the majority of the time, if your truck's like shutting off right away or surging down the road, I would guess it's probably not the injection pump. The injectors are mechanically popped, so you wouldn't have an air intrusion off a bad injector. Might have what appear like a slight miss if it was sticking, possibly, but like a bog down, no. Or like a stall out, also no. The Schrader valve here, that's a point that can sometimes start to leak. I've seen that before. And then, of course, the check valve can fail. Those have been known to fail occasionally. And also pinhole leaks on the metal lines. If you got there's some metal feed line coming from your tank to the mechanical pump. If you got a pinhole, you can also be sucking in air through that, commonly along the frame rail on that fuel line on the front. Has been known to do that. And then also these injector lines, sometimes they can break, or it's important to have the clamps, because the static pressure and the vibrations can cause them to break or rub. So it's very important to have the clamps on there, and obviously that would cause an air problem as well. But I think I covered just about everything on the most common points of failure. But again, to really start somewhere and work your way back, I would start at the filter housing, see if you got air here, and then I'd start running this 1/4 inch clear line into your return system and follow it back to where it's coming from. Alrighty, hopefully this helps. Any questions, don't even hesitate to ask.